Give me just a second, Robert.
Can't you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Ah,
You heard me.
That's interesting. Just a second.
You can hear me?
That, yeah. Say it again.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Oh, yes, there. That's much better. Fantastic.
Fantastic. I think we won't get through all of this in the sense that I think they need to be aware of it. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
With the draft parish, with the draft minutes, do I sign the draft minutes, or do you send me another copy, or should I?
No, I'll send you another copy. So once they're agreed, then I'll send you a copy that you can sign off on, and then it'll be a little bit lengthy, but it'll be agreed in the meeting, so it'll be fine.
Okay. Now, I'm a bit worried that I don't think many people have read everything, particularly the standing orders, which are 19 pages.
I know.
What I think we'll have to do is just tell everybody they've got to read them and then have a scheduled meeting even a fortnight later or something like that, just to do that.
If you want to ask them if they've read them, it's quite important that they do. And it's very important that we get this, I'm trying to get this solidified before we send audit in, because there are some gaps in the audit where you guys have been signing off for all of your standards in how you run your council, but you don't have the policies in place. So you're making disclosure for governance, but it's not there. And so
okay. You'll have to explain that, Elizabeth, to the others.
Probably so. And I was going to say something in my clerk's report, but I thought maybe and I'll leave this to you. Do we wait till we get to that section of the agenda? I'm happy to wait, or I'm happy to address it in my clerk's report, which comes before the actual agenda item itself.
Well, so probably at the beginning, really, because I think it will be interesting to see how many people have actually read it all. I don't think people realize there was quite so much. We've never had this box system where the files are kept.
Yes.
Ever before. We've always had to keep them on our own computers.
I've tried to find a way, because the other thing is that the Transparency Act mandates that you put up all of the documentation that the council is reviewing for the actual meeting. Mm-hmm. So I tried to find an easy way for the public to access that so that you guys wouldn't get caught out, which is why I put it up as a box link, because it was just easier.
Yeah, it says sign into the box thing, but it seems to accept me without me having to sign in, and that I don't understand either.
Right. I think that's just the way that I haven't sent permissions yet, so therefore I'm administering. You can just actually sign in and get it as a recipient.
And that will mean that anybody who looks at our website can sign in and see it as well.
Yes, but that's actually why I did what I did, because that's part of the transparency code that says the public are allowed to see the documentation that the council's reviewing for purposes of the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. So, have you had any requests for anybody else to join?
Nothing.
Okay.
Not a squeak, not a pipsqueak. No, nothing. And I didn't really expect that. As long as you're meeting the standard, you may have nobody, and that's okay.
In the old days, we used to have nobody for nearly everything. Yes. And then suddenly, with all the planning apps, then we suddenly get a lot more people.
Yes.
And by the way, Elizabeth, I think it's better when we're all together, if the person who wants to speak holds their hand up. It just helps.
Okay, well, I'll leave that to you to announce at the beginning then, shall you?
And Paul Oatway says he's hopefully going to join after he's been to another meeting this morning, this evening.
Okay, lovely. Would be nice to meet him.
Well, watch this space. I always get worried that nobody's going to come along at all at this.
Well, actually, I don't mean to be funny, but it's quite nice when they don't. It makes it a lot more easy.
You've got control of this, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So Michael's given you control. Good.
Yeah, he wrote to me and said he was happy for me to take it on, and if you're happy with that, then
I'm happy. And the other thing is that I have a Zoom account of my own now, admittedly paid for by Kennet Beekeepers, but I can use it as well if I want to for this purpose, and set up a meeting myself if we want to.
Okay.
Here comes Carol. Hello, Carol. And Polly.
Polly.
Can you hear us, Carol? Polly, can you hear us?
I can indeed, but I don't know why it is, but my camera doesn't work on Zoom. I've been having meetings with the people I work with every week, and my camera works perfectly. So I don't know why it's not working, but I am here, yeah.
Okay. And Carol, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
And can you all see Elizabeth?
Yes.
I'll introduce you all in a minute. Oh, there you are, Polly. Come on. Right. So we're nearly there. Michael's will appear eventually, I hope. And Hayley, does Hayley know it's on today?
Yes, and
Where's Alex?
I'll just
Oh,
check.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I've forgotten about Alex. Yes.
Yeah. Are we expecting members of the public?
Elizabeth has had nobody. You go on, Elizabeth. You tell him.
Members of the public were invited to ask for sign-on if they wish to speak in the public section. Otherwise, we are streaming this, so anybody from the member of the public arena can actually watch the meeting as we work through it. And they are not able to interrupt. They're only able to observe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
hello,
fine.
hello, Polly.
What?
It's Haley.
Hi, guys.
Oh, no, we can see Polly.
Yes.
We've got everybody. Hayley, can I introduce Elizabeth to you?
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, Haley. Nice to meet you.
You too.
I don't know what's happened to Alex.
I haven't had any messages from him.
Now, it seems to me that whoever speaks, their face comes up on the screen. Is that correct?
It's how you've got it set up.
Okay, I have no idea how I've got it.
At the top right-hand corner, you can change how it appears. There's
Top right-hand corner.
yeah.
Oh, you can see everybody, or yes, yeah.
Gallery view.
Yeah, that's.
Do I go for gallery view?
Yeah, that's just play around with that. Yeah.
No, I've got gallery view now. That's better. Yeah.
Would you like me to give Alex a ring, everybody?
Yeah, it might be an idea.
Just bear with, as they say.
I'm running between meetings here as well. And I grabbed a packet of biscuits on the way, so I'm going to put myself on mute for a second and eat a couple of crackers.
Oh, Polly's
what's
gone.
my camera again? Why does it keep doing this?
You need to be nearer your router.
We're all waiting for you. We're all on screen. Okay, see you in a second, I hope. Okay, bye.
I'm not. Are you talking to me? Sorry, Robin. I'm not far from.
No, I was not talking to you.
All right, I'm not far from my router, but
Yeah, no, I did mean that. Yes,
Hmm.
It's just one of the possibilities.
every week we have a quiz with my department at Audrey Bailey and Douglas that I work for, because I'm on furlough and so are a lot of other people. And we have a quiz, and they use a system called Starleaf. And my camera works perfectly for that, so I've no idea what's going on. But anyway,
Okay, well, we'll put it on the agenda for next time. We change the star leaf or whatever it was. No,
not on my benefit, please. No.
Elizabeth must be a bit mesmerised by all this.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
on
I
Miss
like the
Bill-
way it highlights people when they're talking. That's quite good.
That's right. When you speak, mine goes, I got a yellow line round
Yeah.
my...
And I have, yeah.
But if you want to speak, just put your hand up. It helps everybody. Then we don't all speak at once.
And if you want Polly to disappear, she just like that.
I just keep hitting start video at the bottom.
I'm sorry.
God,
Oh,
yeah.
no sign of Alex.
And Hayley seems to have something quite.
Yeah, it's odd.
Oh, that's just my
Oh,
CV.
yeah.
Sorry.
And,
I am here.
and Hayley, there is a button you can push which can turn the picture the other way round. But
No, you don't. You won't want to see my messy house.
oh,
You're on my
okay.
phone. That's why.
Yeah.
Hello, Alex.
Fair enough.
Poor dog.
No, you're not. You need to look up the agenda. And in the agenda, there's at the very beginning of the agenda, there's how to get on. Okay. I could invite him, couldn't I, from this end?
Yes. Yes, if you know who he is.
Damn, he's not in my list of chosen people.
Just
I have to tell you, none of you are except for Michael.
Yeah.
forward him. Did you get an invite from Michael? Forward him that.
Well, that's a good idea.
It's a tiny URL link.
It is.
That's what to look for.
I will send it to him in 2 seconds when I've found it.
Do you want me to do it? I can do it like now.
I've got it.
Oh, okay.
This isn't coming over well organised, really, is it?
Sorry, Elizabeth.
No, don't be sorry. Trust me, this is going very well considering. Trust me. It's all new technology. It's fine.
Elizabeth, what's your accent?
I am from Colorado.
I thought it was somewhere in America, but I wasn't sure where.
I nearly.
How long have you lived over here?
I've lived here now since 2003.
All right.
Yeah. I'm on a
I've
5-year.
sent him the link, guys.
What were you going to say, Robin?
I've sent him the link.
I'm not going to say anything.
Oh,
We
okay.
need to speak one at a time.
Okay.
What?
The convention is if you want to say something, you hold your hand up. Nobody wants to say anything.
I'd get in there quick.
Oh, hey. You okay?
I wonder if he realizes I've just sent him the link. That's the next problem.
Yeah.
Oh, here he
he's
is.
coming.
Right.
Coming.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Yep.
Right. Alex, welcome.
In the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see
Hey.
you. We're going to be joined by Paul Oatway at some stage, I believe. First of all, Alex, so you all know that is Elizabeth, the face you don't recognize.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Right. And shall we start at the top of the agenda to receive and approve all apologies and absence? We haven't got any. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we can move on.
Yes.
Declarations of interest and application for dispensation. Can you explain that, Elizabeth?
Essentially, if there's any agenda item that has any sort of effect in any possible way, monetarily or special interest to you, you live certain footage or um, from any kind of anything, if it has anything that might have a special sort of effect on you in a personal manner, you are required by law to state now that you could potentially have a special interest.
Does anybody have anything to declare? Can we
No.
move on?
Mhm.
Chairman's announcements. Well, this is going to be our first meeting with Elizabeth, as you all know, and I've treated Elizabeth as the professional. She's the person who knows much more about these things than I do. I don't know if we need to go as technically as far as she wants us to go, but I think that for a guide, for a start, I'm prepared to accept everything she says. But you may all disagree, and if you do, I think you've got to say so, because there's quite a lot of technical and procedure stuff we need to get right. So please, will you ask Elizabeth for the difficult questions and not me? Polly.
I'd just like to say I wholeheartedly will go with anything that Elizabeth says, because I think she's completely up to date with everything, and I have full trust in her. Yeah.
Thank you. Is everybody happy? May I move on?
Yeah.
The police report. Have you got one, Elizabeth?
I did upload it. There's nothing that applies to you all. I did put it onto the link and it is there. I will be sending it to you to be putting onto the webpage, please, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
What I will say is that your normal PCSO is on long-term sick. And so the PCSO team are limited in numbers at the moment. So they're all sort of covering at a slim sort of thread. So just to you're aware of that, should your parish need them, you'll see who the report has come from. So, and it's on the agenda as well. That's who you'll need to contact in the meantime.
Are you all happy about that? May I move on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Paul Oatway is at another meeting and he said that he's going to try and join us a bit later. So I'm going to hold that back if that's okay.
Yeah.
And move on to planning applications. We have had none received. Is that correct? Does anybody wish to say anything about anything on that? So.
Just that it's a very pleasant change, not a very contentious planning application.
Yeah.
Number 8, to receive for information the clerk's report.
Let me just.
Elizabeth,
Yes,
I think it might be you.
Yep, give me 2 ticks. I'm just pulling it up here. You got there faster than I expected. Apologies.
Well, I'm an efficient chairman occasionally.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say is that since I've come on board, what I am doing is looking at all the governance for Alton. And I am planning to release a list of policies that need to be implemented for the council. Now, some of these are going to be statutory for you folks because that's the way the law is written and you must have them. And some are not, but are highly recommended for the protection of the council and also to ensure the public of transparency in the work that we do. So the other part of that is that on your annual audit, there's an area to which you must state that you are fully compliant in your governance. And at the moment, I think Alton, well, I know they need some work. So it's an area of improvement, but I'll put it out and the council can have an idea of where we're going. I'm trying to start with the most important ones and move through to a few of the other areas of least importance, but nice to have. So this will be over coming months. I'm not talking about all at once. So just be aware. It's just a piece of work that I'm doing so that I understand everything about your parish. The second thing I wanted to say is that there's a vacancy I know on the council. And I noted that speaking to Charles that it had been decided because of the COVID-19 that there'd be no sort of election process at the time through Wiltshire. But we do need to, by law, we need to place a notice of vacancy on our website. So I'll be putting one of those together just to notify the public that actually we do have a vacancy. When and if the council make the decision that they wish to go ahead and properly advertise to fill that, will be up to you guys as a council. But we do need to make sure that we're at least providing the information to the public that there is indeed a vacancy. That meeting that on the website is good enough. You would not necessarily need to put that in your notice boards, because I have come to the understanding that your notice boards are not exactly the largest, and maybe you'd post it on one of your larger ones, but it's not 100% needed as long as you've put it on your webpage.
Elizabeth,
Yep.
can I just add, Michael has spoken to Jane, was it Michael? Go, Michael? Michael, is he, can you not hear me?
Michael,
Michael,
Michael!
Michael, we're
Oh.
trying to get, oh, he's disappeared
Oh.
now.
Oh, he's gone.
He may
You
have.
scared him off, Robert.
Michael,
Right-
can you hear
right.
us?
Yeah.
But we can't hear you, Michael.
Not said anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
yes.
Yeah,
Michael, I
I
was
saw it disappeared.
saying, was it Jane you said who might be interested in coming back on the coming to the council? I can't remember her name. Have I got it right?
Kate. I can't remember her surname though.
Do you remember
Hilda.
she applied last time when Carol did?
Okay.
So we could.
She lives in Alton Barnes, across the road from Pete Emery, in David Carson's old barn place, next door to Shirley.
I don't know her at all, but great. Yeah.
May I
Uh,
make a suggestion that
yeah.
we advertise the post, but also ask her if she's interested, definitely. And if we don't hear from anybody at all, can we co-opt her? Would that be acceptable?
There's a process you must go through first, which is why I've brought it up. You need to actually advertise it, and as long as there's no opposition within your parish, and what I mean by that is there would need to be 10 people that would come forward to the parish council saying they don't agree with co-option. But you need to do that for a length of time. And as long as you don't have that, then you move to the next step where then you advertise it as an actual vacancy and you are looking to fill it. And then you could fill it with the option of co-option.
Okay, so we need to advertise it first, whatever happens. Is that correct?
You need to actually show there is a vacancy, full stop, to let the public know. It's really sort of advertising that you have this vacancy, and then if they wish, certainly speaking from my own experience here, there was a member of our public in our village that knew what the rules were, and they went away and they brought forward to the parish council here a signed document to say that nobody here wanted to co-opt. They wanted a proper election, and so the council here was then mandated to hold one. So,
Right.
yes, you will need that. The whole point of the very first document is simply to notify your parish. And then once it's been up for a certain length of time, then you can go forward if you've had no feedback from the public.
Okay. I would like to suggest that we notify the parish as soon as possible. Would you all agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody disagree? And if we could notify the parish, in fact, on the website under parish council, it does actually say one vacancy, and it's had one vacancy there for the last since whenever. So,
Yeah.
but we officially do it.
Yes, I will do your notification properly tomorrow. There is a proper document that Wiltshire Council expects. I'll fill that in, I'll get it to you, and you can post it properly on the website.
Thank you.
The other things I was going to say is I've had a letter today. It's just more information from the police commissioner. And as you know, the elections for this year have been canceled, so they're not replacing the police commissioner. I will forward that to you from Angus McPherson, and I'll also forward that to you, Robert, to put on the website so that people have understanding of what his intentions are until, in fact, they do go to election. The AGM, as you know, this year's been canceled because of COVID. So we'll be looking to hold that. We can actually not hold one this year under proper law. So if we decide to do that in October or anytime sooner when it's easiest for us, it is within our guidance to do that. But we would then have to go ahead and at this point, we would then have to hold it again in May. So it's just something for you all to think about. Do we push it till May next year and leave things as they are? Or do we hold one when and or if they raise some of the sort of restrictions, and then we hold one in less than a year again in May?
Rob
Just-
has a question.
Okay, go
A
ahead.
question about AGAR, which needs to be approved at the annual meeting, I understand, or parts of it do.
Yes.
If it's not an annual meeting, what happens? Because we still have deadlines for that and it's all ready to go.
In this instance, Rob, what we're going to be doing is at the end of this meeting, we should be agreeing a date in July because we're still going to meet all of that deadlines that have been set. They've obviously made different deadlines and sets of rules for the AGAR this year. They've pushed it out by at least 2 months. So that can be separate. In normal terms, you're right. We do need to have it agreed at the annual meeting. Well, by a certain date by July. The annual meetings have to happen in May by legislation. So, but the AGARs typically you have to have agreed by July, but now they've moved it to September. Long and short is we will get that agreed in, hopefully, in my view, in July, and any other things that we need to talk about at that point. So that will all be within the timeframes that are necessary.
Is that acceptable?
Is that okay? Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing I just wanted to say was that there is a document out at the moment nationally that is affecting all councils at all levels on a website review. It is a regulation document it's essentially in place for being in compliance with accessibility. So you all were talking earlier about when you spoke about your boxes lighting up. That is an accessibility option or function so that people who have disability, whatever that may be, might understand who's speaking at what time that they're speaking and where they need to look and how they're able to access the information. And it is the responsibility of every parish council to ensure that their websites meet that particular regulation. So I've got a piece of software that can be run on our current website. And then what it does is highlight the things that we need to look at more closely and identify areas where we need to do better. And so I'm planning to work with Robert on that and see what we can do so that we can try and, well, we have to meet those requirements by September. So I'll be sending that, and I will send it around. If you all want to have a nose or a read, you feel free to do that. And then you'll have some better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. But at the end of the day, it is really sort of my job to make sure that that happens. So if you want understanding, you'll have the document to read. But beyond that, the other things, I did speak to Robert earlier. You will see that I have placed something on the agenda called governance. And for me, in the world of parish councils, the 3 items on the list that I've put so far are your most crucial of being an effective parish council. And so what I want to say is if you have questions, what I'd like to know is if you've actually read the documents. And beyond that, they are a bit long. There's quite a lot in there that is statutory. What I can tell you about the standing orders and the financial regulations, as well as the code of conduct, is that it is nationally driven and nationally tested. So in other words, it's been reviewed by the legal teams from a national level. And so it holds a strong merit with councils at all levels. And if you feel overwhelmed by the document, my recommendation to this council at this point would be to adopt the NAUC, which is the national standard, And perhaps later on, we could actually amend it to be more specific to Alton if that's necessary. But it covers absolutely everything that you would ever think you needed, if you ever needed at all. But it is crucial that you are working to that, because at the moment, you need to be ensuring your public that you're working to a certain standard. And right now, there's nothing in your governance that says that. And so we've got to bring that up to modern time.
Has anyone got any other questions for Elizabeth on that at the moment?
Oh, it sounds like something that we definitely need, doesn't it?
Well, the governance itself, the parish standing orders, are 19 pages.
Mm.
And we've got it down for discussion today, but I'm jumping the gun a bit. So I think we'll go through the next two items on the next item on the finances. That's if you finished, Elizabeth.
Yes, that's me done. Sorry.
Does anybody have any questions for Elizabeth now?
Yes. So you said we needed to adopt this. When do we need to do that by? Is it that like straight away, or is that?
To be honest with you, my preference would be is that you adopted it now, and then, as I said, amend it as and when is required. The only reason for that is, again, this year you've got an audit going forward, and there is a governance document that is being declared that you've met, and quite frankly, you've not, and that puts the council at a higher risk, and an unnecessary one, when there's actual documents out there that protect the council, transparent to the public, you meet all the needs. But I can understand if you haven't read the document. I mean, we could leave it until the next meeting, but I wouldn't want to leave it longer than that. And the only other thing I'd add to that is that now that you're employing a clerk, you will have some other human resources policies that statutorily you're required to have as well. And I will be circulating those much more in advance for you to have a look at, but they are by law, you must have them. And so they may seem a little petty or rigorous, but they need to be in effect and within your council. So just be aware that some of those things are coming, and I'm not meaning to overwhelm you by any means, but I'm doing everything I can to try and help.
No, appreciate that, but there is quite a lot to get through there, isn't there?
There is indeed. I appreciate that too.
We seem to have got onto governance. I think we need to do financial matters first, and then we'll get on to governance. First of all, has anybody got any more questions for Elizabeth on this item, or general items of her the information from the clerk?
No.
Can we move on to the financial items?
Yes.
Robin, or is it you, Elizabeth?
No, it's Rob.
It's me. And there are items on the agenda I've not seen before, but then I haven't been around very long. To review and sign the bank reconciliations as presented. This is brand new to me, but there is a sheet of bank balances which shows net bank balances after total ring fenced of £17,951.51. And if you take off the checks yet to be processed, or at least for me to know about, because the bank is very slow about telling me, that becomes £17,254.17. So that's the sum that we have. To bank reconciliation is the other sheet, which is the sheet that I've used to produce the end of year accounts and was working towards building the end of year accounts for the current year, which shows a reconciliation of the total receipts, total expenditure, bank balances as at, bank balances add up. And because of the way it was produced, there was a tiny mistake on it, which is bank balances at the 31st of the 3rd, 21 is clearly not right. We haven't quite reached that far yet. It's up to date to the latest bank statements, which is the 11th of the 5th. And if you can understand about the checks which are still to be processed, which you know about elsewhere, the grand total comes to 0, which is what is generally known as a reconciliation. And so that apparently needs to be signed and confirmed somehow or other in the minutes. Is that right?
Yes, typically a reconciliation is just forwarded for documentation, and then in a live meeting, it's just signed off with a wet signature. But in this case, we can just send. Well, next time we'll send one that is actually on paper, if you see what I mean. It should be a monthly reconciliation for all the accounts.
Monthly. Well, this is something like many other things in this parish that has never happened before.
I know. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm only going off of the audits to which I've undertaken for very similar sized parishes yourselves, and the things that I've been required to produce. And so I wouldn't say that it's mandated, but it's best practice.
Yeah.
And if you don't do them monthly, then at least quarterly is also
it's easy to do. It's easy to do as long as it adds up to 0.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Okay, well, you information for disbursements made since the last meeting. Well, there was a £300 cheque to Manningford for the speed devices, which everybody knew about before and has gone through. There have been 2 cheques since then for the Wiltshire Association of Local Councils, WALC, and for the insurance to, each of which has been, I think, each of which I know have been signed, I think have been processed, but the bank hasn't yet told me about them. That was a little bit of leniency in terms of the general rules, because these were both overdue accounts, and I thought it was more important to process them. One was contractual and one has been every year since 2000 as an annual contribution, annual subscription to WALC. So those have gone through without formal pre-permission. But if anybody objects to that, please say so now.
One was the insurance, which I think was pretty important. I hope you all agree, Rob.
That was contractual, and technically we were uninsured for as long as it took for them to process the check.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Rob?
I haven't finished yet.
No, I meant on the point A and B. Rob, sorry.
We've definitely got to subscribe to WALC. I mean, we use them from time to time, and it's important that we support them.
Yeah, but as I say, it happened every year.
Yeah.
For the last however many years, you can do the counting back to 2000. We've had the receipt from 5 Rectory Close much earlier than before, because last time round the May invoice was not sent out until November, when somebody remembered it needed to be sent out. But that has now been paid in good time. In terms of the banks, the interest rate, which was a magnificent 0.05%, has been cut to 0.01%, which makes sod all difference to us actually in terms of the accounts. The end of year accounts, that was all done in mid-April and was ready to go as far as I was concerned. It was completely everything that was needed for AGAR as far as we've ever done it before was ready in mid-April. But there was an awful lot of we know everybody and ticking of boxes, which is not the way it's supposed to be done, but we are very tiny. It says on my Treasurer's report that the copies of all the financial accounts have been sent to council members. I don't think they have. Mid-April was a long time ago, so I can't remember whether I did, but it doesn't seem appropriate to have sent them out so far ahead of the ACAR discussion, which is going to be in July. So even if I sent them out before, they'll come out again via the clerk ahead of the July meeting. The processes for signing of checks is as was agreed before, and that was followed. There is I think another agenda item about the clerk's remuneration, which I know nothing about, but that will be covered later. As a general summary, which is something of an addendum to the report, I thought, given everything that's going on at the moment, it was quite useful to have an overview of where our finances are, as best we can get a general view of how things are. So other than the playground, expenses usually run at about £300 per annum. £300 per annum. With playground ring fencing of £2,500 and the clerk's costs, total outgoings before extraordinary items will be running at about £6,000 per annum. £6,000 per annum versus £300 per annum. Anyway, there are clearly implications for the precept, currently £5,000, but our reserves are healthy and we should finish the year with net reserves of about £12,000, barring anything extraordinary that comes up. Mainly because of last year's big expenditure on the playground. That's about £3,000 lower than at the end of last year, but is £12,000 there to buffer anything that might come up. And my general observation on all this is for a council which has a grand total of 9 debit entries and 2 credit entries in the whole of last year. The overlay of bureaucracy, administration and regulation is overbearing and costs much more than any potential loss. But that's way beyond my own brief. So, and I'm only temporary. So,
is that it, Rob?
I think that's enough. Unless there are any questions.
That's what I was going to say. Does anybody have any questions? I think we all probably agree. I may be talking through my head, but I think we all probably agree. We do feel this is slight overkill. I think most people.
Yeah.
But I think we've got to get it right. So we may want to adjust it to be somewhere between the two, but let's go ahead at the moment and see where we finish. Thank you very much, Rob. Nobody has any more questions for him?
No.
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Can we go on to governance, Elizabeth?
Sure.
Shall I talk about the governance or will you? I think you can because you've set it up for us.
Well, I've kind of covered, I mean, the important part here is, I mean, I would expect that you would be letting me know what more you would like me to give you. As far as the governance is concerned, I've circulated the documents that are our national standard level, which I know, obviously are tested. So there's no real gaps in what they're providing you for coverage and legality. You need to have them because the public should know exactly what and how you run, and that's the same with financial governance as well. At the end of the day, it 5,000, 15,000, it's public money, and you need to be having proper policy in place. You may never have to fall onto those because you may just have a very easy, and great council going forward, but others have not had such a good time, and they rely very heavily on their governance to take them forward. So,
Elizabeth, can I interrupt? Polly wants to ask you a question.
Yeah, sorry, I've lost my ability to see you, and I'm not certain how to get it back now that I went on to my clerk's report. So I apologize. So I didn't see her raise her hand. If
can she ask the question while you see if you can sort
that
out?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not so much a question as to say that can I propose that we absolutely adopt all these models. Because it seems to me like we have to have them. Whether we use them or not is another matter. But as long as we've got them in place and we can show to the public that we have adopted these, I can't see any other way forward, really.
What do other people feel?
Yeah, I think I agree.
I think
Have you actually read them, Polly?
No. But if
I
they
think-
are the national standard for local councils,
yeah, I think I'd like to read them
Are we
just to
gonna
see that
argue
they're
with-
appropriate
are we
for
actually
us
gonna
and
argue
what we're operating at.
Can we all one at a time, please? And I'll be boss here. Polly, have you finished?
yes, I just want to say that these are national standards that are accepted by local councils of all descriptions throughout the country. I don't see why we should be arguing with them. I think we should just accept them. So,
Rob, you wanted to say something?
I had two things to say. I've forgotten one of them already, but one of them was I was the equivalent of the treasurer of a £3 billion pension fund, and we didn't have any of this. It was all very smoothly administrated, but there wasn't this sort of angst about the detail that the council itself had to deal with.
Shall I say something? I personally think we probably should adopt them, but I think we do all need to read them first.
Yeah, agreed.
I really do, to know what we're letting ourselves in for. We can have another council meeting as soon as we like and just make these the prime thing we want to discuss. Sorry, yes, Carol.
Well, I agree that we need to read them first, but do we really have any grounds to object if these are the national standard?
May I ask a question? If we adopt them today, Elizabeth,
Yes.
if we adopt them today, can we at the next meeting alter them or change them?
We can work between now and the next meeting to amend them. Sure. Yes.
We can amend them.
You can amend them. Lots of councils amend them. You can amend the parts that are not statutory, which I can actually lay out in color. So you know the parts you can change and the things you can't change. But many councils amend policy that is more about their particular area. It's just simply, it is definitely a tool which tells the public how you're working. So yes, you can is the answer.
Thank you. Rob?
Well, it's just an observation which is no relevance at all, but this is another symptom, and there are many of them, of regulations have been designed for town councils and county councils, which are just transferred down to a parish of a few hundred, where most of it is not relevant.
no.
Alex, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I guess as a point of principle, I wouldn't want to sign off on anything I haven't read because, you know, the devil's always in the detail. And I think that what would be incredibly useful was Elizabeth's offer of kind of recirculating them where we have them color coded so you can see which ones are kind of statutory and which ones are kind of adaptable.
Can I suggest would you all be happy if we agreed that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody object to that?
No, absolutely not. That's absolutely fine. And I absolutely agree. You know, these things apply to far bigger councils than we are. But yes, that would be a great idea. Let's have a look at what's negotiable and what's not negotiable.
So we don't have to vote on this. We are agreed that we're going to ask Elizabeth to reissue them with the color coding that she's just offered.
Yeah.
And that we'll discuss them and agree them somewhere at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Robert, could you actually, what I need for this, because it was to adopt or what have you, could you just defer this until the next meeting? And can I have a first and seconder for the minutes, purpose of minutes? And then yes, we can do that.
I'll propose.
I'll second, or Alex will second. It's probably better if somebody else does.
Proposed.
Proposed by Polly Carson, seconded by Alex Oliver.
Is that for all of them?
I think it is for all of them.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I have to apologize. I didn't realize that I had to read through all of it before this meeting. So yeah, I'd like a chance to read through it as well.
I think it's the most wise thing, everybody. So we can now move on from governance.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
To approve the council's membership of ICO, Information Commissioners Office of Fire, direct debit at a cost of £35 per annum. I presume we have to have this, do we? I know nothing about it
It
particularly.
is statutory and it's steeped in GDPR, and you are required to be a member of the ICO.
Have we ever been?
No.
No.
I confirmed that with ICO, by the way. So
Okay,
No,
Rob.
I can confirm we've never been a member. No.
Yes, Rob wants to say something.
Well, Elizabeth and I have had correspondence about this, and I have checked out thoroughly, and I thought there was some doubt about it, and decided in the end, or resolved in the end, that there was no doubt that we should be paying it. The only thing is we can't do it by direct debit because our banking affairs are Neanderthal. So when it comes to it, they have to be paid by check for the moment. But I sincerely hope that under Elizabeth's guidance, when she is RFO as well, that the banking arrangements will be made much more streamlined.
Do we vote on that, Elizabeth, or
you
Can-
will need to. So I'll need a proposer of the £40 and a first and a
I
seconder.
propose it.
Carol proposes it? Michael Golden will second it.
Thank you.
Right. Number 12 on your list. This is to approve an appointment of Carlton Baker Devices for payroll for the forthcoming year at a cost of £146. I don't understand, Elizabeth, why we can't just set a banker's draft up for you every month, but
Legally, as you're paying a clerk, you're required to be on the PAYE scheme. And I either have to go into HMRC and manage that myself, or you get a payroll department, if you will, to do it for you. The other two councils I've got are actually paying me through Charlton Baker. So all of my tax information, everything that needs to be worked out monthly for me, goes to Karen Robertson at Charlton Baker. She puts in, works with HMRC about what's to be paid. She notifies me with a pay slip, which gets transferred over to the council for sign off. And anything from HMRC that is due, she lets me know. And then a check is then cut and paid to the government. So you're legally required to set that up first. Now, I mean, as I said, I can do it. I have done it, and I will tell you, I don't like it. But that's not a reason to go on a fair and balanced argument. That's not a reason to go to Charlton Baker, albeit it would be far better if you use them just for continuity. But the only reason I suggested them is because, as I said, I've got history with them, and they know they work with a lot of different parish councils. They understand the role, they understand the work. Whilst I'm on the contact, they work for you. They don't work for me. They're your contact. So
Rob wants to say something.
I have a bit of experience in this, and it's much better to have people administrating it who just do it as a routine. And it all goes smoothly, and you've got somebody else to blame if something goes wrong. And for £146 a year, as long as that is the regular annual.
Plus VAT, Rob.
Yeah. And is this a shared cost between the three councils that you're working with at the moment?
no, she has an individual cost to each council. It's a contract between each council. So
Is it worth discussing with Colton Baker whether there's a sort of a joint deal if there's three councils doing it?
I could ask, yes, I have a request into her for something else, so I could definitely see if there's a rebate, if you will. But that's what for purposes of this meeting, that's what I've got. The reality is you can't pay me until we do something. So you cannot cut a check to me because it wouldn't do anything.
And Elizabeth, you've done a month for us already and you haven't yet been paid. Is that correct then?
That's correct, yes.
I'm not opposed to that. It's just an extra expense. Are we all happy to go ahead with it?
It sounds very good value to me.
I think so, yeah.
I once had an umbrella company like this when I worked for an agency, and it worked beautifully with the HMRC. So I'm definitely all for that.
So will somebody propose and second it for her? Proposed by Alex Oliver, seconded by Michael He's put a thumb up. I presume he means to second it. Are you all happy with that?
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, hopefully you will ask them if there is any chance of, if you have all three together, they'll give us a slight reduction. Right. Can we move on to number 13? There's not a member of there's an extra member of the parish council sitting on Carol's knee.
I know, he's crying, so I'm trying to shut him up.
Appointments to councillors of external groups. Do we have any particularly to do?
The one that I've identified is, and this is just a typical setup of how other councils work, and it doesn't have to be any one particular council. You could all agree that it's any of you, but I would recommend that you name one or two people. If there is an issue that comes up for the council, then you really need to be nominating people to do specific roles and responsibilities. So if you needed somebody to contact WAP or NALC on behalf of the council.
Sorry, could you say that again? I didn't catch it. Could you say it again?
If you needed to have a contact with WALC or NALC in this instance, then you would nominate the council or councillors that you have been given authority to go ahead and do that.
Can I ask a stupid question? What is WELC and NALC?
Wiltshire Association for Local Councils, National Association for Local Councils.
Robert.
I couldn't remember. I didn't know.
Yeah. So your original, what you're paying, one of the things you just paid is to be a member of WELC.
Yeah.
That's.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I didn't know it was tied in with that.
Yeah.
Can I just say that although we've been a member of WALC for many, many years, we've never had a representative. We've never appointed a representative.
Well, should it be the chairman basically for this? But it's never happened before. I'm happy to volunteer if that would please you. Does anybody else want to do it? Michael, you're looking as though you do.
I always look like I want to do stuff that I never actually do.
What does it involve? If you're a representative, what does it involve? Do you have to go to meetings or?
No. So, well, I mean, you could, but what it does is, because WALC and NALC are basic agencies or areas that are meant to support you guys, they're not necessarily here for the clerks, they're here for the council. If there was to be an issue that arises within your parish that requires specific advice from a national level, then it would be you as the representative for the council. And this is born from the idea that the council must work as a collective, that no one person can do anything without authority from the rest. So you are basically just saying, we know that Polly, you're going to be the contact for WALC, and if something arises and WALC needs contacting, then we know you're going to be the one to go get the information. You'll all tell you what you want to know, and you go get it. And so it's in a mandate or a proposal. It's here in the minutes, and it's just known that that's what your particular role and responsibility on the council is. Same with working with highways or giving somebody permissions to go and get legal advice from an actual attorney. Those are things that the whole council would need to actually make sure that they have got firmly put in your minutes as a whole, legally.
Okay. Does anybody want to do that position?
I don't mind.
Okay, well, let's put Polly followed by me. Is that a good idea? Thank you, Polly. Can I move on to number 14 now? I think that's you again, Elizabeth.
It is, and I haven't really, the only thing I've really circulated was the police report, and we've already covered that. I think the only thing I will say is I have received something about central government, when I say central, I'm in Pusey Vale. There's been an legal document, that's been circulated in the last 24 hours about what they're going to be doing with funding. So I will be sending that out to you, but for purposes of this meeting and what you've had up to now, I don't have anything for you.
Rob?
point of information, because I'm seeing all this inundation of stuff now. It's nothing to do with me, and I have no right to even speak now. But it seems that you have the right to consider whether to open the playground.
Open the what?
Open the playground or not.
What's that?
What is that noise?
Haley, I think
Somebody's
I think it's Haley eating crisps.
Huh?
Are you eating, Haley?
you've got to
Say that again.
Are you eating?
No.
There's something going on.
There's something going on somewhere.
Somebody's crunching.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to what Rob has just said.
Yeah.
He just said that now COVID is almost over, we should probably announce the playground is open. Is that correct?
No, it's not what I said. The advice that I read in a small sliver of all the stuff that inundates from Wolk and Nolk and the rest is that the responsibility for the decision to open or not the playgrounds is now with the local councils.
If that is, sorry, yes, Polly?
As is the decision as to whether to open or not the village hall is now with local councils. My view is we don't do anything yet.
When we're talking about local council, are we talking about parish councils?
I
Or
think
are we talking about Wiltshire Council.
No, I think it's on local councils. We, as a member of the village hall committee, I've been sent stuff about deciding as to when we can open the village hall and how to do it and all that kind of thing. My personal view is I would rather not do anything at the moment, but that, you know, this is up to us as a council, obviously.
Shall we review it at the next meeting?
Yeah.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I can make it an agenda item for you, Robert, if you'd like.
I think make it an agenda item. It's a very easy, it's a yes or no situation really. And I suspect that people are playing on the playground, even while we're talking now. But we do say on the website, please keep off the playground, and it would be nice to say it's back in use, but I think we'll put that on the next agenda.
Yeah, I think a lot of discussion needs to happen over that.
Well, we need to get it right.
Yes, we do.
It's not wired off, is it, at all? We haven't got those facilities. So, I mean, if kids want to use it, they obviously do with that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. So there's very little we can do. But anyway, it is announced, and we have sent it on the original letter, which went around about COVID, that the playground was out of action. Can we move on? Or is there anything else on that 14, Elizabeth?
Can I just ask a question on that, please? You mentioned the village hall, I think there, Polly, did you?
Yeah.
Is that staying closed for the time being, or where are we with that?
We haven't discussed it yet. It only came through. Ruth just sent something through yesterday.
Yesterday or the day before, wasn't it? It came in two batches.
Yeah. Again, my view is we don't do anything. We don't open anything for the time being, but it will be discussed, I'm sure.
While it's not in use, is there any value in offering it to anything locally, like the local school or anything? Do they have enough space for their...
I don't know, Michael, and that's probably a discussion we shouldn't be doing here.
Yeah.
It's not parish council business, so we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Can we move on then, everybody? To consider items of maintenance. What is that, Elizabeth?
Maintenance would be things that you would bring to the attention that need fixing or attention in the village that we would look at, either something to go to the parish steward, something of that nature that needs looking into before the next meeting.
Okay, they've replaced the word Honey Street with the wrong sign on the southern sign. They've put Honey Street as one word, and I wrote to them, told them it was before, when the sign was knocked down, I told them the correct spelling of it all about a year ago, and they've put the wrong sign up.
Okay. So I can contact Highways and see if they
Not
can...
the end of the world, but it
not
is.
right.
Yeah, it's the other way around, I think, isn't it, Robert? Like I said, they've done it as two words. Instead of one.
Sorry, did I say it the wrong way around? I'm so sorry. I meant...
No, it's okay. Yeah, I sort of mentioned that if Elizabeth's writing to them, just so that they know that it's supposed to be one word. And I think the village, people in the hamlet individually chipped in last
We
time.
paid for it last time, correct. And it should be one word, Elizabeth. Sorry about that. Key messages, Elizabeth, what's that?
You all decide out of this meeting what our key messages are to get to the public. Normally, in areas of this nature, we've got either a parish mag or a newsletter that goes around, or just key messages you put on the face of your webpage from this meeting that you want people to understand are happening. You can have some or none. It's just a standing item. It doesn't always apply.
Does anybody have any key messages they want us to put or consider? I mean, you all seen the village website with its COVID stuff on it, I presume. And I also put the barge menu on at the moment for the shop. But when that stops, I'll take it off. Next meeting. Can we decide on a date for the next meeting?
30 dogs.
Do we want to have a meeting that's quite soon so that we can tackle this governance business?
Yeah, okay.
And the AGAR.
I
I can't resign till the AGAR's done.
bad luck.
So next year then.
Are we looking at July, the middle of July?
Yeah, a month from now, that'd be good.
Which would be, what date are we today? 18th.
18th.
So if we went for Thursday, the 16th of July, would that suit everybody?
Yeah, fine by me.
Are you all happy?
Elizabeth has yet to speak because she's got a busier diary.
No, it's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let me just double check one. Sorry, give me 2 ticks.
While she's looking it up, it would be very nice if the COVID we were given the all clear and could have a face-to-face meeting. I would far prefer it. I hope you all agree. But we'll wait and see how, I mean, if they're going in Parliament, I think we're getting near the time we might be able to even use the big hall and sit miles apart from each other. What do you think?
People of choice.
Well, yeah, if you're allowed to use the hall now, we can sit 2 meters apart, no?
Around the big hall, can't we? Well, listen, we'll come across that later. But 16th of May, sorry, 16th of July, PC meeting 7:30. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Works for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, shall we call the meeting closed?
Yes, please.
Is that okay for everybody? Now,
Yeah.
does anybody want to talk to Elizabeth about not having any other business? Because I know some people were slightly upset about that.
No, I